program is brought to you in association with First National Bank of Botswana.
FNB, how can we help you?
It has been just over a year since the discovery of the novel coronavirus, which is now distinctively known as COVID-19. Because of this virus, more than 2 million people globally have died due to complications relating to this disease, with more than 75 million reported cases to date, according to worldometers.com. While it goes without saying that human health has experienced an insufferable blow, the global economy has been dealt a near TKO massive punch. Airliners such as Virgin Atlantic have closed shop, leaving hundreds of thousands without jobs. Montreal-based world-famous circus Cirque du Soleil have filed for bankruptcy, leading to a 95% staff layoff, with many other retailers, travel agencies and corporations having also closed shop. Here at home, the COVID-19 task force reports that the virus has claimed the lives of more than 140 people, with more than 20,000 confirmed cases to date. This has obviously raised a lot of anxiety within corporates who face the possibility of losing highly trained staff to the virus. In addition, having some employees testing positive for the virus, with some key staff being admitted in hospital, a lot of businesses have had their daily operations disrupted. While COVID relief funds and programs have been set up to revive the economy, the only hope for stability lies in finding a cure or an effective vaccine. As fate would have it, some drug companies such as Pfizer, BioNTech and Moderna have developed vaccines that have been approved for emergency use. Even though corporate entities are banking on the arrival of the vaccine within our borders, employees are at the same time bombarded by hundreds of conspiracy theories circulating on various social media platforms. This has caused confusion on whether or not to take the vaccine once it is made available in our country, further bringing a state of despair on what the truth is and what the future holds. Well, here on First Issues, we have engaged our resident physician, Dr. Kiran Bhagat, to allay some of these fears by busting the myths surrounding COVID-19 vaccines and to provide factual information on them. We start off first by asking the doctor what a vaccine is and how it works in general.
This is an interesting year, and we're hoping that 2020 is certainly firmly behind us. And now there's lots of positive news about vaccination. Everybody's talking about a vaccine, and when are we going to get the vaccine is also something that everybody's shouting out about. But let's get back to basics for one second. A vaccine basically is a means by which we will inject, usually, some are oral vaccines. The older vaccines it's an infection which we neutralize. The word we use is attenuate. So for example, the old vaccines, the vaccines against measles and polio, the vaccines against diphtheria, all the old vaccines, the chickenpox vaccines, we take the virus that causes it and we weaken it. We make it what we call attenuated. So it actually, if we inject it into you, it doesn't cause polio or chickenpox or cholera, but the body recognizes that there's something foreign in the body. And it uses its machinery, its artillery, its army to attack that particular weakened virus. It builds up an immune response. And that results in immunity. So if you are actually then exposed to the real polio or the real malaria or the real chickenpox, your body's able to fight it. And that's what the vaccination program does. And certainly in my opinion and to my mind, vaccines have been one of the greatest developments in modern history. It has demolished smallpox, it has demolished measles and mumps, where people take it on a regular basis. Because what happens, is once you've given enough of the vaccine, if enough of the population has the vaccine, enough of the population is protected against the virus eventually dies out in the population. And you develop what is called herd immunity. In other words, the herd, the population, the global population is now protected against that virus. And that's how we've demolished major infections such as smallpox, from the globe altogether. So that's what a vaccine is. The newer vaccines, since the advent of the COVID, certainly 2020 and 2019 has seen a rapid and dramatic change in information technology, biotechnology, bioengineering, and vaccinology, the study and development of vaccines. And new technology has been developed in which you take the virus and you look at the virus, and particularly we're talking about today the coronavirus. Corona stands for thorns, you know, they look like sort of spikes on the virus. And we know those spikes that jut out of the virus are the things that cause all the inflammation. The coronavirus is what we call a vascular virus. It's a virus that attacks the circulation. It gets into the throat and gets into the lungs and then blocks the circulation in the lungs and causes clotting in the lungs, which is why people can't breathe. People who've had coronavirus, who've overcome the coronavirus, sometimes have vascular problems. They develop circulation problems, cardiac problems, because the virus, that particular spike, is the one that is the danger thing. And since scientists discovered that and analyzed it in 2019, 2020, they've been on the hunt to try and develop an artillery against this spike protein. So now clever people have developed what are called mRNA vaccines. Now, an mRNA is part of the process in which the virus has an mRNA, it's called messenger RNA, that gets into the system and the body then replicates it and produces all sorts of toxins. Now, having understood that this particular protein is the active component, what they've done is they've taken that spike protein, put it in a capsule, and that is now the vaccine. So you inject that vaccine into the arm. The arm then recognizes, hey, there's some foreign protein. It's no longer a virus, it's just a protein. There's some foreign protein in my muscle. Then generates what we call an antibody response. An antibody is basically the artillery in your body to kill that spike protein. Once you have that antibody response, you become immune to the nasty effects of COVID. So these are the vaccines that are currently in production by companies such as Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, and Johnson & Johnson. And this is the vaccine that currently is now being shown to have tremendous effectiveness or efficacy, we call it. You know, there's a 99% conversion with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. There's a 70 to 80% conversion with the AstraZeneca. And so this has been a dramatic improvement in the way we give vaccines. And as you know, in the last 12 months, many of these companies have launched major well-controlled scientific studies to demonstrate the effectiveness of this vaccine in protecting against the COVID virus in terms of reducing the severity of the infection and reducing mortality, death from the virus. So this is why there's been tremendous excitement both among the vaccinologists or the scientific community as well as the population at large, because it is the only way forward in terms of seeing us and our way through this COVID pandemic.